The ghost of the White House. The White House stands as a symbol of power, history, and leadership. For over 2 centuries, it has been a residence of presidents, the setting of critical decisions, and the heart of the American government. But behind its grand halls, beneath its shining chandeliers, and beyond the weight of history, there is something else. Something older than any administration. Something that never left. Daniel Roberts had worked security at the White House for 5 years. His job was routine, patrolling the halls, checking the doors, ensuring that nothing and no one disturbed the most important residents in the nation. He never believed in ghosts. Until that night, it was past 3 a.m. when he entered the Lincoln bedroom. The room was dimly lit, the antique furniture casting long shadows along the walls. A cold breeze swept across the floor, but the windows were closed. Daniel shivered. The air felt heavy, charged with something he couldn't explain. Then he heard it. A knock, soft, rhythmic, coming from a massive wooden door behind him. He turned. "Who's there?" he called, his voice steady despite the unease creeping up his spine. Silence. He reached for his radio to report the noise, but as soon as he pressed a button, his radio crackled with static. Through the interference, he heard something, a whisper, faint and distant. "Help me?" Daniel froze. Then the lights flickered. The room darkened, and in the reflection of the antique mirror, he saw something that made his heart nearly stop. A tall figure, dressed in black, standing just behind him, the ghost of Abraham Lincoln. His expression was solemn, his hands clasped in front of him as if lost in thought. His deep-set eyes stared at Daniel through glass, filled with something between sorrow and warning. Then, in a blink, he was gone. The temperature returned to normal. The lights brightened. But Daniel knew that what he had seen was real. The Lincoln bedroom is one of the most haunted places in the White House. Over the decades, numerous presidents, first ladies, and staff have reported encounters with Lincoln spirit. One of the most famous accounts comes from Winston Churchill. One evening, after taking a hot bath, he walked into his bedroom completely naked, cigar in hand, only to find Abraham Lincoln standing by the fireplace, staring at him. For a moment, the British Prime Minister and the ghostly figure locked eyes. Churchill, never one to lose his wit, simply said, "Mr. President, I believe we are at a disadvantage." Lincoln smiled softly and vanished into thin air. But Lincoln isn't the only ghost that lingers in the White House. One night in 1946, President Harry Truman was awakened by 3 loud knocks on his bedroom door. Bang, bang, bang. Startled, he sat up in bed, heart pounding. "Who is it?" he called. No answer. He checked the time, 3:30 a.m. Slowly, he got up and walked to the door. When he opened it, the hallway was empty. But just as he was about to close the door, he saw something move at the end of the corridor. A shadow, tall, thin, watching him. The next morning, Truman wrote in his journal, "I believe this place is haunted as hell. It's a damn nightmare trying to sleep here alone." The second floor of the White House is infamous for paranormal activity. Late at night, staff members have reported hearing the soft cries of a child. Some believe it's the ghost of Willie Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln's young son, who died of typhoid fever inside the White House in 1862. Housekeepers have claimed to feel small hands touching their backs, only to turn and find nothing there. Others have reported the sensation of someone breathing on their neck as they walk through the halls at night. Yet, the most terrifying reports come from the White House basement. It is a place few dare to enter alone. One night, a maintenance worker was sent down to check on a malfunctioning furnace. Armed with only a flashlight, he made his way through the damp, stone-lined corridors. The air was thick, stale, suffocating. He could hear dripping water in the distance. Then he felt it, a presence. Something was down there with him. He turned the corner and stopped dead in his tracks. 2 glowing red eyes peered at him from the darkness. They were not human. A low growl rumbled through the air. Frozen in fear, the worker barely managed to lift his flashlight. When the beam landed on the figure, he saw a twisted, shadowy creature crouched in the corner. It had elongated limbs, sharp, jagged teeth, and a grin that sent ice through his veins. The worker dropped his flashlight and ran. He tripped over the steps, gasping for breath, feeling something chasing him. But the moment he burst out of the basement doors, into the bright, safe halls of the White House, the presence was gone. Some say it is a demonic entity that has lurked beneath the White House for centuries, waiting, watching. Others believe it is the manifestation of the weight of history, the sins of past leaders given form. Today, the White House still stands, regal and unshaken. By day, it is a beacon of leadership. But by night, when the halls are empty and the world is asleep, when the shadows stretch long across the marble floors, something stirs. If you ever find yourself inside those walls, listen carefully. The whispers in the dark, the distant knocks on the doors, the flickering lights. And if, in the dead of night, you feel the air turn icy and hear the soft creak of a door opening behind you, pray that when you turn around, there's no one there, because if there is, it may already be too late.